Plants it like a seed and the earth bleeds red. The color spreads and out of the ground sprouts fingers, skeletal limbs pointing to cumulonimbus. Clouds up above that swoop down and shroud the ground like a glove. And the hands hound me, shoving me, not lovingly.
18-year-old Treyanna Summerville was found dead on June 22, 2020, and her 13-year-old sister was blamed for her death. It would soon be learned this wasn't the case of an evil half-sister, but rather a case of an abusive monster mother. But why was the 13-year-old half-sister arrested for her murder? Come join me and Simon at the Murder She Shed for this true crime case. Yeah, this is the place we honor the dead right from my she shed, and my name is Holly, and this is Simon. But as you can see, we're not in the she shed today. Still a little cold. Dude, you're invading my space here. You are invading my space. Treyanna Summerville, or Trey, as she liked to be called, was born in Anchorage, Alaska on November 2nd, 2001. She was a quiet, sweet young lady whose smile could light up your soul. She lived in Gouverneur, New York with her mom, LASHANNA CHARLTON, and her younger sister. Her stepfather, Rodney CHARLTON, was deployed to South Korea. Trey was a senior at Gouverneur High School who had dreams of attending college or joining the U.S. Air Force. She enjoyed her time at school where she was a dedicated student and track athlete. She would often be seen walking to her favorite places around town to enjoy quiet time. Trey was very kind and compassionate to everyone around her. Trey was like a mother to her younger sister. The two were very close and could always be seen around town walking together. And Trey would always wait for her younger sister to get off the bus so they could walk home together. Trey and her sister were good about hiding the abuse at their home. Police have been called to their home multiple times over the last 7 years for a variety of issues, including child abuse and neglect. They had 25 total reports relating to members of the family, and the officers responded to the home 16 times. The very first call police responded to was a child abuse neglect complaint on March 28, 2013. The calls included child abuse, neglect, welfare checks, domestics, juvenile runaway, disorderly conduct, and criminal mischief. It has been suggested that both Trey and her sister's social media accounts were strictly controlled by their mother. It also appears that whenever LASHANNA had an issue with one of the girls, she was quick to make manipulative posts on Facebook. She seemed to like to make Trey look like she was disobedient on all of her social media posts. Here's a post I'm going to read to you that she actually wrote on Facebook. One of the social media posts that LASHANNA wrote, it said, "It's summer. Whole town knows you crave ice. You dig in her fridge, deep freezer so much you broke both. Now you sneak around town to get ice cups instead of tell us who can buy our replacements. Okay, carry on." Now, it's ice. Just buy some ice trays. Do people know what ice trays are anymore? You can feel them run under your faucet, freeze them. You have plenty of ice. Why are you being so stingy with ice? That's just nuts to me. And then this other post that I have from her, it reads, "Trey, you chill out enough. Getting mad doesn't stop consequences, man. You gotta earn trust. Ask your friends. Come home. You show and prove. You act like this. Not the way, sis. R had your jacket when you left. That was her bringing it. She is crying. Please come on. Stop this. Nobody is hurting you. Words will be used, but respect, that's automatic. We miss you, peanut head. Ask your friends. That's a peanut." It's almost like she wanted to make Trey seem so disobedient that the abuse could be excused. And I don't care what the child had done. Abuse can never, ever, ever be excused. Trey's friends even said this was true, that her mother controlled pretty much everything. Her cell phones, her messaging apps, email accounts, and social media profiles. In 2013, Trey's half-brother, Isaiah, had moved out due to the abuse from his stepmom, LASHANNA. Isaiah described his stepmother as a woman who ran a grim household in which she doled out years of abuse, all too often crossing the line. When he turned 18, he left the home. One time, LaShawna had hit him with a bat for eating a snack. Isaiah recounted another time he got hit with the bat and he limped outside because he was in pain, and then he got beat again for limping. The authorities got wind and LaShawna was charged with a felony count of second-degree assault and endangering the welfare of a child. But the children remained in the home. They were not removed. Nothing was done about it. He also stated that's when she started using the blunt objects more. They took the bat away from her? Oh, they thought that would fix it, huh? Wow. And she just used something else. He said she would strangle us. She would beat Trey's fingers with the belt buckle. He also said she was just mad abusive for no reason. She would get ticked off about the littlest stuff. If we ate snacks without permission, she was mad. We couldn't brush our teeth or shower without her permission. We couldn't have friends over. We couldn't do anything. If I drank water without permission, I got beat. She would walk about a half a mile to Price Chopper every week for the family's groceries. It did not matter the weather, rain or shine. On one occasion, a woman had seen Trey getting groceries with only socks on, no shoes, and she had scars on her face and hands. She offered to give her some meat and canned goods, but she only took the meat, and Trey said she didn't have a can opener at her house, so she couldn't take the canned goods. So sad. One of Trey's neighbors had seen Trey at the laundromat just 3 weeks before her death. She was sleeping with cuts on her face and blood on her shirt. When the neighbor woke her up to ask if she needed help, Trey told her she was okay and seemed afraid of what was going to happen now that the neighbor had seen what she had looked like. Concerned, the neighbor did call authorities. When authorities showed up at the laundromat, they went in and talked to Trey. Then when he came back out, he informed the neighbor that the girl was known for walking around town and digging at the scars on her face to make them bleed. That's just irritating that he would just blow that off as nothing. Like, why did this little girl have scars to begin with? The neighbor told the officer, her face looks tortured. She said the pictures you see online and on Facebook, that wasn't her face when she saw it. She had no hair on her head. It was shaved looking. You know how hot it is, and she was wearing winter hats to cover her with hoods up and arms covered. Friends at school started noticing Trey appearing with bruises and lacerations on her face and body. Once she came to school with chunks of hair missing and tooth missing. They stated that Trey was missing weeks of school at a time there at the last. They said when she returned to school, she looked horrible. They tried to get Trey to tell them what was going on at home, but I suppose Trey was just too scared. At 10:53 a.m. on June 22nd, a 911 call was placed. Police showed up at Trey's home where Trey was found deceased. They would later find out Trey had been assaulted around June 18th. 911 wasn't called till the 22nd, after she was already deceased. It is unclear what happened at this point, whether LaShawna threatened Trey's 13-year-old sister to say that she had been the one that injured Trey, or she was just so scared that she actually took the blame for it. I'm just going to call her sister R in this video. I believe that she's already been victimized enough. Although you can find her name online, I just didn't feel right stating her name on this video. So I'm just going to call her R. R was arrested for second-degree murder, while that evil mother, LaShawna, was able to stay home. Even though she had been charged with abusing the children in the past, the officers didn't even say, well, something's fishy about this. This woman's been accused of this kind of thing in the past. That didn't even enter their head. So they arrested the 13-year-old. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Trey had endured prolonged physical abuse between June 16th and June 20th of 2020. It would later come out that LaShawna had hit her daughter with a hammer, which resulted in an infection that turned into sepsis. She did not feed Trey during this time, causing her to suffer severe malnutrition, and gave her large doses of an antihistamine typically found in Benadryl, maybe to make her sleep during that time. Since Trey wasn't able to get food for herself, it makes me think LaShawna had either hit her in the knees with the hammer or maybe in the head. Sadly, it almost reminded me of that movie Misery, where Kathy Bates breaks her victim's legs, which made this case traumatize me even further after thinking about that, because I've always thought that movie is terrifying. This poor little girl was stuck in her bed, couldn't feed herself. I don't know how badly she was beaten. It doesn't go into detail on that or where she was hit, but I'm assuming she was not capable of getting up and taking care of herself. And she just laid in that bed and got an infection and slowly passed away. Anyway, I suppose LaShawna accused R of hitting her sister with the hammer, and that's why she got the blame. But even if authorities thought that, it was still the mother's responsibility to take her to the hospital. So I was just left feeling angry over how they could charge this 13-year-old girl for this. And, well, her mother, in the end, was still responsible. Many people came forward saying that R would not have done something like this to her sister, and saying that the two sisters have been very close. Isaiah came forward saying that R would not have done this, and that he knew his stepmother, LaShawna, was responsible. Charges against R were dismissed in 2021 because prosecutors said the evidence no longer supports the charge nor the interests of justice. But this little girl was put in prison as she was suffering over her older sister's death, and most likely had been a victim of LaShawna's abuse too. Eventually, LaShawna did plead guilty to Trey's murder, and just a few days ago was sentenced to 20 years in prison for first-degree manslaughter. I wanted to bring attention to this case because sadly, it is hardly being covered. LaShawna only getting 20 years for torturing this beautiful girl is disgusting, and not to mention what she did to her sister. Now, R has to not only get over the death of her sister, but get over spending time in prison because her stepmother continued to abuse her emotionally by lying and saying she was the guilty party. Honestly, this evil monster deserved more. Trey wanted to join the Air Force someday. Now she has joined an Air Force way more powerful than the one on Earth. She now flies with an army of angels. Rest in peace, sweet girl. Love y'all, and as usual, I'm going to leave y'all with a few bloopers so you don't have a sad note on the end of this video. I just want to pep you up just a little bit. All right, I love y'all, and y'all have a blessed, lovely, wonderful, amazing week. I could fill my fish tank because I feel like it's really loud. I got my little angelfish back there, but I feel like they're super loud. You know, you think angelfish, they're called angels. You think they'd be little angels, but they're not. They should be called devilfish because they're really quite evil, I've noticed. But why was the 13-year-old, why is there an airplane going by right when I'm really getting into this? Not exactly from my she shed today. I'm in my house because it is cold again. You having malfunctions there? Breathing in my mic again, you sound like a stalker. You always like to sound like my little stalker, don't you, boy? Be nice like the other dogs. He's never nice like the other dogs. Bless his heart, he can't help it. He's just a mean little man. We'll just see his butt. You'll see his butt this whole video. I'm sorry about that. On June 22nd, 2020. What up? What up? Oh, and then this other one. Joy. Yeah, well, I'm busy right now, okay? Sir, you are invading my space. And of course, I like to hear Simon breathing on my mic. What is funner than that? And track athlete. I feel like all they can hear is your breathing. I really feel like this. You need to back up for a second. Just back up for a second, Booty. Booty, just for a second. That her mother controlled and blood on her shirt. I'm right in the middle of the story. You need to chill out. And so the police came. Dude, you're choking me. Scars on her face to make them bleed. Why did he think she had scars to begin with? Simon knows we're getting ready to go bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Oh, Max is over there crying. Oh my, you're making loud noises on my mic. Oh, I'm deaf.
It roots about, pulls a tooth out of place and taps it on my forehead like, ha, you're dead. Plants it like a seed and the earth bleeds red. The color spreads and out of the ground sprouts fingers, skeletal limbs pointing to cumulonimbus. Clouds up above that swoop down and shroud the ground like a